Typically when we design an object, we don't get it entirely correct or right or 100% the first time through, and so we have to go back through and make some edits, some changes. So parametric modeling, as done in Fusion, makes the editing process fairly painless. And so I see that there are some dimensions that have been marked in red. We're going to go through and change those dimensions to, for example, this one will change that from 23.5 to 24. So this is called redlining a drawing. It's been done for as long as I've been in the business, going back 40 years. And so I'm going to edit my first sketch, and so I'll go over here and I'll edit the sketch. Now I see that I have this circle is straight up 38, and in this case I have it dimensioned from the center of this rectangle. Now we have to choose a datum when we're modeling things, where we're going to take our dimensions from, and so it's showing it as a dimension of 59.7 from this edge. So I'm going to delete that 38, and I'm going to dimension that distance from here to this edge as the 59.7, and when I push enter, it's going to update that position, and so here we see it. Now I see that that circle is, the intention is for it to be 46.3 over from this edge, so I'm going to go in here, and this has a construction line, a vertical construction line from the origin that is keeping that centered, and so I need to remove a constraint from that line. I'm trying to find where the vertical constraint is, and I don't actually see it. I thought it was in here, so I'm just going to delete that line, and then I'll put in that dimension. So I'll dimension the distance, and I see that it's dimensioned from this edge, and I'll dimension it from that edge then a distance of 46.3, and so it moves that over a little bit. Now I would expect it to be vertical from the center of the part, but we have to go with whatever dimensions are appropriate or intended for the design. And then so that I've moved that hole over, let's go to the next one. So I've got that hole, these two dimensions, and I see that this distance, and actually this is for the next sketch number 2, so we'll take care of that next, or in a few minutes. I see that this distance is supposed to be 25, and so instead of 23.25, I'll change that to 25, and that increases that. And what about this distance? This distance is supposed to be 26.5, so I'll change that to 26.5. And let's see, I think I've got the dimensions on this sketch. I'll finish this sketch and we can come back to it if we need to. And I'm going to go to the next sketch, so I'll edit sketch number 2, and first thing I see is that this distance from here to here should be 0, and so I want to fix that. Now it might be a little bit easier for me to see what I'm doing if I turn off the body, so I only have that sketch visible, but I need that line. I need this line from sketch number 1, so I'll turn on sketch number 1. I'll do P for project, and I'll project that line from sketch number 1. So if we change sketch number 1, then this line will always be projected. It's associative to this sketch number 1, so it'll change as well. All right, and then I've got this rectangle in here where it's centered at the at this position 3.5 over, but after the changes, that's not the location where it's at. Let me close that down so it's not hiding part of our changes here. And then, so I'm going to delete these two construction lines. Now notice it turns blue. Now I can move that around. I'm going to do collinear, and I could either do collinear or coincident. I'm going to do collinear between this line and this line. If I was doing coincident, I would do this point and the line. So I do collinear between those two. So that puts this out on this edge, moves that distance to 0. And then I'm going to delete the dimensions on this, or some of the dimensions, and put those in again. So I see that let's just put these dimensions in again. So I'm going to go through it. I'll delete these dimensions. And actually, so this is, and I don't know where these dimensions were calculated from, because we couldn't go out to that many decimal places in the real world. But anyways, so this is slightly different on one side than the other. So we have a trapezoid. We're going to dimension those separately. So I'm going to get rid of these parallel constraints. So I'll get rid of that parallel constraint. I'll get rid of this one. And now I can move these independently and put those dimensions in. I think I do want this one vertical though. Actually, it's perpendicular to that, so that's the same as vertical. And so I see then that that distance is 24. So I'll dimension from this point. This point right here is that edge from sketch number 1. I'll dimension from here to here as 24. And then on the other side, and actually I could do it, there's actually redundant dimensions here. If this width is 47, then that's the only dimension I need is the 47. I don't need the dimension over here, but we'll put it in anyway. So if I put the dimension in here, between here and here, it tells us that it doesn't really need that dimension. I'll put it in as a reference dimension so that we see that, and here we see that that all adds up. So the 30 millimeters there. And then I will dimension the height of this, and that concerns me a little bit, that that's still 45. So we'll go ahead and dimension that as 45. And then let's see what we have then. This dimension from here over to here. And so I'll dimension that. Now I could type in, so that one actually is, let's go ahead and create that. And so I actually need to change that so that it isn't perpendicular. And so I'm going to undo that. And we'll get rid of that perpendicular constraint, and then we'll put in that dimension from here to this corner. And so the new intention is that is 46, or this dimension right here, 24. I'm going to just put in 24.22. 24.22. And so I have that one in, and let's dimension this other side from here to here, and we'll do that as the 30.22. And then we need to get that that height, and let's see. So I don't see anything else telling me that that height isn't supposed to be 45, and so I'll do a horizontal constraint then on this line, and so that and let's double check that. Let's make sure this is 45, and so we see that that's still 45. I would go back through this again and make sure that I've got everything changed. What I could do too is on this is I'm going to make those sketches visible, and I'll right click and I'll turn on show dimension, and let's do that for both of those. And I'll have to rearrange these so that I can clearly see those, but I might go through and double check all of these dimensions against the revisions, and make sure everything is okay. And we turn on our solid body, and our solid body, everything updates on our solid body. So that's editing a redline drawing to in a parametric software. Makes it easy. Actually, I see that I don't have a lock symbol here, so that means something's unconstrained in sketch number 2. Let's see if I can find what is unconstrained. And so let's go back into this, and I don't see it. I'm doing this as I record. Sometimes it's oh, I see it. Okay, so there was a construction line here that was used earlier to locate that 3.5 millimeters over. So I'll delete that, and now we see the lock symbol. Everything is fully defined. So make sure that your sketches are fully defined when you complete your editing process.